so that basically your view of the world complies with what you want to see, not what you should see. Okay?
It complies with what you want to see, not what you should see. Can we just take a second? I want to share this with people who may come across this. Our country here in America is so divided, and I believe it's largely based off of what he's talking about right here. They're showing us our biases, and they feeding and feeding and feeding into your bias to the point where you end up saying things like, if you voted for this person, you cannot be my friend. If you voted for this person, we are no longer family. And the reason why is because you're on one end getting fed a bunch of stuff that feeds into your bias. They're on one end getting fed a bunch of stuff that feeds into their bias. And somewhere in between that is the truth. Somewhere in between that, where if we took the time, we could say, all right, well, I see your viewpoint on this area, but I disagree here. Oh, well, I see where you say this, and I kind of agree with that, but I also disagree with this. Somewhere we should be able to have educated conversation with each other and still get along, be able to disagree and get along. But the reason why we cannot right now, I believe, is because we are so pushed on our bias, and Mo is going to go deeper into it.
So if you believe that if you're a flat earther, okay, the social media will show you enough flat earthers that reaffirm your worldview, so that you're convinced. Like if anyone tells you, by the way, the earth is not flat, you go like, what are you talking about? The entire internet is talking about it. Where have you been?
Yeah.
Right?
That's their world.
Yes,
That's what they see.
that becomes their world,
Yeah.
right? And more interestingly, of course, you know, I don't mean to be political, but or take sides, but I cannot believe that the entire world for such a long time approved of killing of children, right? But that's because of those silos of you know, if you start with a worldview of like, you know, I support a certain cause and not another cause, you don't get to see what's happening to children to start, right? And when you see it in a way that's actually sort of like, yeah, that's a small price to pay for the big cause that we spoke about, okay? And so that's stage 3. We're now biasing your worldview by creating silos that make you think that the world is what it is, what you want it to be, not what it is. And then finally, of course, we ourselves become
what it is.
so weak, so unable to have any resilience to seeing what we don't like, that we start movements of wokeness and canceling and all of that stuff. Which basically says, you know what, I really don't want your worldview. It really contradicts my view of it, okay? And instead of putting it out there so that we can discuss it and I can convince you, just keep it to yourself, okay? Keep it away from me. And so the real era of mind manipulation is now at its peak, right? Because we've lost the ability to debate what we're being presented.